Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. Brian Winnikins from the NAFB convention in Kansas City. Thank you to our broadcast sponsors, including Alcivia Co-op, Annabis Silo, Animal Wellness Center of Buffalo Valley, Compeer Financial, Osteoplastics, Synergy Co-op, Wisconsin Corn Growers Association, Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board, and the Wisconsin Farmers Union. And joining us from National Farmers Union, Mike Stranz, Vice President of Advocacy for National Farmers Union. And, Mike's been in Wisconsin before, so it's like we got to have him on. And we're going to talk about some of the things going on that NFU is working on. And Mike, thanks for joining us. Well, first, the Fairness for Farmers. Let's talk a little bit about that. Where are we at with that?
That's right. Fairness for Farmers is a campaign that Farmers Union members across the country have been behind the last 2 years or so. It's been all about competition and addressing monopolies in agriculture, in our rural communities, and in the economy in general. We know that when just a few companies control most of a market, it's bad news for the farmers and the consumers and everybody else in that space. So we've been raising those messages of how monopolies harm our bottom line as farmers and ranchers and our communities. We've gotten some uptake on that as well, as far as emphasizing competition in Congress and in the administration. We've seen a whole flurry of bills addressing issues in the cattle markets, for instance, on right to repair, on choices in other parts of the economy as well. Plus, we've seen the Biden administration put forward some very important rules on the Packers and Stockyards Act. So the Fairness for Farmers campaign has lifted up our message, and our members have rallied around it.
While one might think, okay, is this really something for farmers, and is it fairness for farmers? But when you think about it for the rural communities, and that's the AM for Every Vehicle Act, that is really part of this.
Absolutely. That's the thing with this campaign, and the issue itself of competition is that we know that we do better if farmers have many options for instance, where they can sell their livestock to. Farmers do better when they have many options for who they're buying their inputs from. Farmers and communities do better if they've got different choices and options when they're listening to the radio and finding information. That's why the AM radio efforts are really important, to keep that local information in place, easily accessed, and something that all can enjoy.
And Farmers Union has come out in support of that bill. And is the National telling members to be also active in this?
Yeah, we've raised this issue at the national level amongst members of Congress and across the administration, as Farmers Union is deeply concerned about the situation and want to advance the AM radio bill too. So it's been something we're talking about at the federal level across D.C.
Meanwhile, the Farm Bill, okay, we're going to have the one-year extension. I guess the one-year extension is better than nothing, but is there a little bit of frustration?
Well, we've been working on this Farm Bill for a long time. The Farm Bill is our chance to have a national conversation about agriculture policy. And this only comes around every 5 years or so. And as we've all noticed, a lot has happened and changed in the last 5 years. So I guess we're going to wait a few more months, hopefully not a whole year. But with the extension of the Farm Bill, it does show that the logjam is breaking a little bit to getting something through Congress that isn't just passing a farm bill. We want to pass the right farm bill, and there's some more time to get those priorities in there. But yeah, it's taken a while, and we're ready for the slog that's ahead of us yet.
Talking with Mike Stranz, he is the Vice President of Advocacy with National Farmers Union this morning at the NAFB convention. So with fairness to farmers and the Farm Bill, are there things inside the proposals from both houses of Congress that Farmers Union is liking?
Yeah, so keeping in mind that neither the House nor the Senate have released any draft language of the Farm Bill, so we're going on what we've heard about and what's discussed. But we also know that there are a bunch of marker bills out there, pieces of legislation that in theory could pass on their own, but are likely to be included or considered as part of a larger Farm Bill package. And there have been quite a number of marker bills that are out there that stand a good chance of seeing inclusion in the Farm Bill. So a couple things are on the Meat and Poultry Special Investigator Act, for instance. This is a bill that would put further emphasis and resources into how USDA would uphold the Packers and Stockyards Act and other competition rules and laws in the meat sector. That bill has gotten a lot of support. In fact, it passed a chamber or two here last year in the previous Congress and probably stands a good chance to be emphasized going forward. Some other competition bills we've seen action on are on right to repair. We've seen progress on state levels. Colorado, Michigan, and Montana, Nebraska, places like that have had some action on right to repair, but there's also a bill at the federal level that recently was introduced by some Agriculture Committee members. So those are a couple examples where we're seeing some push already on the competition title.
Finally, okay, yeah, we have the extension that we want it done next year, but how harder does it get to pass this with every month that passes in 2024?
Yeah. It seems passing a farm bill or trying to pass a farm bill in an election year can be both a blessing and a curse. There's obviously going to be a lot more emphasis and interest on farm issues. For instance, the Republican Iowa caucuses, for one thing, is a spot where we're going to see a lot of activity, surely around serious farm policy debate and proposals. We're also looking to see how this laser focus on what happens in November for so many in Washington can impact the calculus when it comes to what gets prioritized on the floor of the House, for instance. Hopefully that lifts up the farm bill so that we're moving ahead on this. The tricky part, though, of course, is that in an election year, things get very hyper-political and very sensitive. And any sort of disruption wouldn't just be a small setback, it might really upend the process. So we've got to be vigilant in a year that's divisible by 4 when we're trying to do a farm bill. It hopefully will help, but we've got a lot of work to do.
Mike Stranz, he is the Vice President of Advocacy with the National Farmers Union from the NAFB Convention. I'm Brian Winnikins for WRDN.